Far beyond the neon hum of the big city, in a tiny town that nearly everyone forgot, lies a dry creek bed of no special significance. It was once called Washpool Gully. The world has moved on from such insignificant things, or so it thought, because in the heart of the gully, something is stirring. Shaken by the rumble of engines and the darkening of the skies, a creature long asleep has decided to wake up. This April, step into a reimagined tale of Australian mythology. The Riddle of Washpool Gully is a visual masterpiece that proves incredible creatures might still live in the uncharted corners of our vast country. It's a story of a boy, his mother, and the power of imagination, a journey where ancient secrets meet the modern world. The hands behind this magic belong to the world-renowned Dead Puppet Society. From their Brisbane fabrication workshop, this acclaimed production house has redefined the art of the stage. Mentored by the creators of Warhorse, they merge old-school craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology. Using laser-cut timber, polished brass and acrylic, they breathe life into puppets so detailed they seem to possess their own soul. In this special co-production with Terrapin Puppet Theatre, the stage becomes a living canvas. You'll witness live animation, where miniature sets are filmed and projected into real time to create a sense of scale and wonder that defies belief. It is a design-led experience that has captivated audiences from London's Natural History Museum to the stages of the West End. Perfect for explorers aged 6 and up. This is your chance to see their intricate work up close. Join the adventure at Gasworks Arts Park this April. The Riddle of Washpool Gully. Some things are just too wonderful to stay forgotten. In the heart of regional Victoria, where the rolling hills of Euroa meet the horizon, a new kind of energy is stirring this Easter. It's called Rage.
Rage is the inaugural festival of recycled art. Here, 30 artists from across the state have gathered to prove that in Victoria, the end of the road for an object is actually just the beginning of a masterpiece. These are works born of a singular mission. 60 pieces crafted from nearly 100% recycled materials. But this isn't just about salvage, it's about soul. The work is a conversation with the past, weaving vintage textiles and beach-found treasures into stories that echo the crochet hooks of her mother and grandmother. It is a reverence for materials that refuses to let tradition be thrown away. Travel further into the landscape and you'll find the grit of rural life. Peter King and Darren Gilbert scout the sheds and paddocks of Victoria, rescuing rusted steel and weathered metal that carries the very scent of the land. In their hands, industrial scrap is elevated into sculptural forms that honour both our history and our horizon. Alongside them, artists like Judy Wright find new life in the indigo threads of worn denim, turning the everyday into the extraordinary. But there is an urgency here too, a meditation on our responsibility to the earth. From Liz Walker's shoreline collections of plastic debris to Candy Steven's ephemeral grass sculptures, these works act as witnesses to our consumption. They invite us to look closer at the woven encyclopedias, the repurposed bubble wrap, and the fallen timber, and to find the joyful social power in upcycling. This Easter weekend, from April 2nd to the 8th, come to Euroa. Witness the alchemical transformation of the overlooked into the unforgettable. Because at Rage, art isn't just a choice. It's an act of regeneration. Rage, the Euroa Festival of Recycled Art. Discover the value of what we once let go.
There are a number of ways to get a book published. Traditional publishing, self-publishing, or vanity publishing. So what does it all mean? Susan Berg and Dick Gross spoke with Michael Hanrahan from Publishing Central.
Can I just make an important distinction between self-publishing and vanity publishing? Could you explore that? Vanity publishing is notoriously a rort and a rip-off.
Yeah.
So could you sort of explain how that all works?
Yeah, vanity publishing's got a really bad reputation, and rightfully so. Most often it's vanity publishers are publishers that present themselves as a publishing company, but they're really not, and the author ends up paying to produce the book. So what they're really doing is underwriting the production of their own book, but then the company shares in the profits if the book happens to sell well. So it's really not a good model.
Do they distribute genuinely? Or do they just print them and stick them in a box?
The good ones do, if you can say there's good ones. And it's usually a hybrid publishing model. And some of them, there are some very legitimate hybrid partnership publishing companies out there, but the dodgy ones, I had an author ring me up last year, and I won't use any names, but rang me up on the eve of the launch of his book. He had like 30 copies of his book. It wasn't listed on Amazon. It was nowhere to be found, and he was launching in a couple of days, and he was tearing his hair out. He didn't know what to do. So that's the real downside of vanity publishing, and everyone in publishing has heard all sorts of stories like that.
So how are you different?
So the vanity publishers make it sound like they're traditional publishers, and that's how they hook people in, so uneducated authors, and they make it sound like, oh, we'll assess your manuscript, and then they email you back and say, oh, we love your book, it's fantastic, pay us 20 grand and we'll publish it for you. But then what happens is they pay a royalty and they share the profits with the author. So like say the author's underwriting the cost of the book and then sharing the profits with the company.
Sometimes that's fair enough because it's such a high risk business.
Yeah, like say if it's a legitimate deal, yeah, there are companies out there doing that legitimately, but if you're going to get ripped off, that's how it's most likely to happen. Yeah. The difference with us is, number one, the quality of the work. So everyone on our team has experience at the major publishers. I used to be managing editor at Wiley, like I mentioned. Our senior editor used to work at Wiley. One of our freelancers used to work at Penguin and Lonely Planet. So like we've talked about, we produce books to the same standards as the major publishers. I'd put those next to a book from Penguin any day of the week.
There's a pile here, if you can see it, viewers, and they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
So let's talk about then the difference with the traditional publishing and self-publishing. Traditional publishers may well say that unless you were published that way, you're not really published, but yet there is still a great market for the self-publishing industry. So tell us a bit about the difference there, and why would you go self instead of traditional?
Yeah, for sure. So self-publishing has become a really legitimate option about the last 5 or 10 years as for serious authors. The main reason is the difference in the qualities of the books you can produce. So self-publishing, I could spot a self-published book 15 years ago from 10 feet away. They looked terrible, the printing was horrible. You really couldn't produce them to the same standards as the major publishers, but these days you can, which is a lot of that's to do with printing technology and desktop publishing technology. In terms of the differences between traditional publishing and self-publishing, the main difference with traditional publishing is you don't have to pay to get your book produced, obviously. So the publisher, so Penguin or whoever it is, pays all the costs, and you just submit the manuscript, and if you get picked up, you get paid a royalty for any books that sell. With self-publishing, you pay all of the costs. So the authors we work with, they pay 100% of the costs, and they make 100% of the profits or the losses. So if our authors sell 100 books, 1,000 books, 10,000 books, we don't make any more or less money. They're just paying us to physically produce the book for them.